Hey loves, welcome back to TigeraGitana. My name is Abby and today we're going to be doing a patron voted video, and this is how to create a spell. Okay, so this is actually, it's not complicated at all, but this is a patron voted video. They did vote for this week. I'm really excited because I feel like this topic is important to kind of get into the habit of doing on your own, not just using other people's spells. But I honestly feel like the most powerful spells are the ones that you create yourself, even though doing spells that are tried and true and that others swear by and tell you, listen, you need this and that and this, and then you do this and that, and that's how you do it, those are tried and true as well. So I'm not, you know, trying to shit on them, but I'm just saying doing your own and crafting your own not only elevates your practice but also helps you to understand how to do things, how to move, why you need to move in certain days, in certain ways, why you need to work on certain days. Like, you know, like it helps to kind of direct your craft and direct your energy. So when it comes to how to create a spell, how to work a spell, the first thing that I look at is the not the natal chart, but well, for me, I definitely look at my transits. That's my number one. But I personally look at the astrology of the moment. What is happening? What is going on in the stars? Is it a good time for me to even be doing this? Why should I be doing it at this time? What does the astrology chart say I should be working on right now? Why should I be working on it? Am I good in those areas that the energy is kind of amplified, or do I need to do a spell right now? Like, this is something that if you do follow me on Patreon, if you do have me on Patreon, you know that I do a weekly Book of Shadows, weekly prompt for your Book of Shadows to help you develop yourself as a witch. And the reason why I do this specifically is so you guys can continue working on your craft and elevate your craft, but also analyze on the things that you should be doing weekly. So you're weekly having to analyze and say, oh, what's happening with the chart right now? What's happening with the moon? Where's the moon at? How am I affected? Is there a full moon? Like, should I be working with it? How is it affecting my chart? Like, so every single week we go over that, and there's a prompt and you have to answer the questions and see if what it is that you need to analyze and do for your craft. So one of the biggest things that I look at is the astrology of the moment. And so I like to kind of think about what my intention is and if I should even be applying it during this time, or if I should wait for later, for a better time to do so, depending on what the transits are looking like at the same time. So for example, let's say I'm trying to do a love spell. Okay, I'm trying to do a love spell, but the astrology of the moment, the chart is just not, you know, it's not the time for me. It shouldn't, you know, the chart is basically saying I should be focusing on like my studies, or I should be focusing on, you know, my money or my finances, or maybe even my spirituality. Maybe I should be doing more in that area, and it's not supporting doing, like, calling in like that love energy right now. Or maybe I should focus on a different part of love energy. Maybe I should do more self-love. I want to focus on love and I want to call somebody in, right? But what if what I really actually needed to do is more self-love work, and I can do that through spirituality, through studies. Maybe I need to learn more. So it's really about analyzing what it is that you need first, thinking about the intention, looking at the chart, and then you start plotting. Okay, so let's say in the stars, it is the time to be doing the love work. Okay, first I really prefer doing when it comes to specifically love work, I do like to do more self-love work first before I even try to call in anybody. Not that I need to, because y'all know I'm married. But when it comes to that specifically, I like to make sure that I have a good relationship with myself with love, so I can attract that. Same goes with money. I like to make sure that I have a good relationship with my finances first, and then I call more in. And so when you look at the chart and it's saying, okay, well, this is how you're getting triggered, this is where you're going to have really good opportunities, this is where you're going to have some friction, this is where you're going to have, you know, you can have that boost in, look at it and see what it's saying. After you see what it's saying, then you could see, okay, you know what, maybe I can craft it in a certain way where my intention specifically targets multiple things, especially working with the energy of the moment. Now, working with the energy of the moment is the next point, because when it comes to crafting a spell, I like to work on specific days for it. This goes hand in hand with the planetary hours. If you don't know what the planetary hours are, Google the planetary hours, and you will get the planetary hours. But this is something that is a practice that we work a lot in hoodoo and root work. We work with the planetary hours because each day has its own planetary energy, and each day also has its own planetary energy within the hours of the day as well. So I do craft it very precisely depending on what the day is. Sometimes I just do it in the moment. Like if I'm feeling something in the moment I just do it because I'm just following my intuition. But sometimes you do have to go in and craft it on the day, and this goes back hand in hand with tradition and the way that things used to be done before, because a lot of the rituals that were done before were in alignment to moon cycles, were in alignment with solar eclipses and changes in what was happening with the time, the seasons, and different types of rituals were done knowing and with that knowledge of what was happening with the earth itself. So you do have to make sure. This is why you want to look at the astrology as well. Guys, my battery died and I totally forgot where I left off, but we are going to continue. So oh, we were talking about the planetary hours. That's what we were talking about. Okay, so I definitely like to follow the planetary hours because I feel like it gives me, it helps me work with that planetary energy, especially when it comes to different rituals that I can do. So for protection, for love, for money, for communication, whether I want to clear the energy around how I communicate. Maybe I have a big like, I don't know, speech or workshop to do, and I want to make sure that I'm on you know, on point with how I'm communicating. I'll work on a Wednesday, the day of Mercury. Maybe I need a little bit more luck. I'll work on Thursday, the day of Jupiter. But I will be aware of where the sun is and how it is like affecting or hindering that type of energy. I'll look at the astrology of the moment for that specific day, and I'll see if it's supporting it on that day. Like if I can call in that luck, call in that, you know, extra energy before I actually do it. So that's another way which you can use to craft a spell that will make it really foolproof and fail-proof, because you're working with the energy of the moment itself. So it's almost like you're not going against it. It's not like you're trying to do a love spell on a, like, when I guess Venus is in Virgo, and you know, which is not exalted in Virgo, so it's not really good. It's not a really good time to do, you know, I'm calling in the love of my life, the soulmate. No. And the sun is like in Sag or something, and it's just not a good time to do that right now. So I would focus more on self-work, especially because Sag is really about like that journey, that learning, that understanding. So I would do more healing work, especially because Venus and Virgo, healing, that's what Virgo's rules. So I would focus more on the self and healing the self and self-loving myself before I put that on somebody else, or like, no, not somebody else, but put that, like, try to call in somebody else. So it's all about timing, and it's all about trying to catch that divine timing in the moment, and making sure you're using the energy while it's there. Eclipses are a really powerful time to do a lot of different work in, but again, you have to look at what the energy of that eclipse is bringing, how it's transiting in your chart personally, and how it's impacting you, so that way you know how to work with the energy. Personally, this past eclipse, this lunar eclipse in Capricorn that just came through, it knocked me out. That day of the eclipse, I was totally fine. I felt like myself. I was grounded. I was boom, ba, da. And then, like, I did my ritual work. I did it, me and Bae had, like, our ritual work that we had to do. So we did our ritual. It was a 3-part ritual, but it was very simple. It sounds already, like, super complicated, but it was very, very simple. Especially because root chakra and, like, earth magic doesn't have to be complicated, to be honest. So it was very, very simple. But I woke up the next day, I was drained. And mind you, I was off those 2 days. I was completely drained, and that's why I couldn't do the live, because I was like, I don't have the energy. For 2 days, I was completely drained. Monday, Tuesday, drained. And I was just, spirit just kept telling me, you need to rest, you need to recover. And the reason being is because the intention that I set was so ground shaking for my life that it is something that I'm basically restructuring my root chakra and what my space is going to look like as well. So it was a really powerful intention, but it was a very simple ritual, but it was plotted in a way where it worked best for me. So I hope that makes sense. One of the other things that you have to look at when it comes to how to craft a spell is working with what you're really good at. So if you're really good at writing, if you're really good at crafting, if you're really good at art, or if you're really good at you know, the visuals of a thing, make sure that you're using who you are and putting that on this with the spell. So if for you're like very artistic and very visual and very like you have a way about you, put that in there. Make your spell be super like romantic. Not that you have to, you know, it not necessarily in regards to love, but just like make it super romantic. Make it be like you're in a gown and you're walking through, and it's like it's a white gown and you're just, there's a veil involved, and there's candles in a circle around the floor, like, you know, like make it, you know, visually a ritualistic thing for you, because that helps sets the tone for what you are attracting and putting you in your own power as well. So that is part of crafting your spell, because sometimes I'll be doing a spell and I'll just be like in my PJs like, okay, we're about to do this work, and then sometimes I'll just be very elaborate. So be mindful of the energy and how you're feeling about what you're doing as well. The next part of crafting a spell is looking at and analyzing what tools you need to use. This again goes hand in hand with looking at the chart of the moment, because if you're looking at your transits, you kind of know which element you should be working with. If you kind of want more clarity on this, there's a video that I made about working with elemental magic and astrology that I made on my channel, so please look that up in the channel. But there you can use and see if, like, let's say one of your elements, it's really, you know, strong, or like very, like just the way that it's transiting in the moment is just like, you know, you should really be working with your Mercury for right now, or maybe you should be working with your moon for right now. Then focus on the sign that is there and then work with that. So if your moon is in a fire, you might need to do a fire ritual. If your moon is in a air, you might need to do some writing, some scripting, or working with incense, working with the air element, yelling at a hill, like go up a mountain, go yell at it, yell into the earth what your intention is. You can definitely see in the chart, especially if you see like, oh, Venus is like in a trine with, I don't know, Neptune for this moon that's coming up on this on Friday, on the day of Venus. So I can do some, you know, I can call this in for right now. Work with the energy that's in your Venus. Work with that energy that is there, because it's basically in its power for you to use it and get amplified, for you to use it and manifest better. So astrology is a really big one for me as an astrologer into how I craft a spell, if it's not obvious. So again, what tool are you using? Will you be using some candles, some fire element? Will you be using air, earth, herbs? What herbs are you using? Are you using crystals? Are you going to be in your backyard? Are you going to be in the park? Are you going to be in the forest? Like, what element of earth are you using? What element of fire? Like, how are you going to be using fire? Will it be in a candle? Will it be like, are you going to do like a whole fire pit and go ham? Like, are you going to dance around the fire? What is it going to look like? Which chakra are you also like kind of targeting for this? Because if you're targeting like love, you want to work with your heart chakra, so you want to do that type of work. If you're doing more fire spells, okay, if you're trying to do that, focus on your solar plexus. Make sure you're doing a meditation to like beef up, amplify your solar plexus right before you start doing this process. So it's like really about analyzing all of the ways, so then you know exactly what you're doing. You're not like, oh, I guess I can use this. I just bought this crystal, so I guess I could use it. I mean, I felt called to it and all these, you know, the things people say. But it's like, do you need to use it right now, or could you be using something else? What visual tools are you using? Are you trying to like change some habits within yourself? Really focus on the timing and what it looks like astrologically. That's what I would recommend in order for it to be really successful. But also follow your intuition, follow your gut. I feel like it really doesn't have to be complicated at the end of the day. It's only complicated if you make it complicated. So just make sure that you are following your intuition and make yourself as comfortable as you can, which is why I focus so much on astrology, because if I see that like I'm supported astrologically with the planets into the intention that I want to do, I'm getting excited because I already know it's going to work, you know. And that's what you want to think about it as. If you see that you are supported, then you're like, oh well, I mean, I got what I need to make this work, so let's go, you know. It's all about amplifying your intention. So timing for me is important. Your words are important. What your intention is very, very important, because it goes hand in hand in what you're crafting, what you're creating. Working with the elements is important. Working with your tools are very important. How you will use your tools is very important. Understanding what the meaning of those tools are as well. Making sure you know what herbs that you're using and why you're using them. Making sure why maybe you're using like tarot to symbolize a specific energy in your ritual. Understanding the meaning of that card and how it relates to you as well. So it doesn't have to be super complicated, but at the end of the day, this is the like fail-proof way on how to make it work for you without any issues. If you kind of miss one of these steps, because a lot of people like to say that timing doesn't have to be important, it actually can when you're trying to work with the energy that's around all of us. It's just you amplifying it, and understand that this is the way it was done traditionally. So dismissing timing is really stupid when it comes to how to craft a spell. So you want to make sure that you're doing it so it can actually be effective, and you know, you get what you want at the end of the day. So that is how to craft a spell. I hope that was helpful. I hope that you took a lot from it. Make sure you are working with the elements. If you're doing obviously a whole elaborate spell, do you need a whole cleansing before? You have to ask yourself different questions on how you're going to approach things. But at the end of the day, it's just about doing your work. And you can always change a spell and do it differently the next time, especially if you felt like you should have done something, and it goes hand in hand with following your intuition. So it's just about doing the work at the end of the day. So I hope that this was useful. I will definitely see you guys in the next one. Don't forget to check out the Patreon, because they did vote for this video for this week. And I will see you definitely in next week's live. We're gonna have it on Monday, I swears. I'm really excited because next week I'm also getting my Reiki Masters certification. So whoop. And yeah, so stay tuned for that. Don't forget to ring the bell so you're notified anytime I upload, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.